Okay, so what we discussed yesterday? Is anyone
What
remember?
is data? What is database? How to install MySQL Workbench?
Okay, so what is data?
It would installing MySQL.
Okay, so are you all installed MySQL?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, good. Then tell me what about database. What is that? We discussed yesterday. You people all remember, right? Is my voice audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am, audible.
Okay. Okay, then. Okay, we have discussed about data and the database and the relationships. You remember?
RDBMS.
Yes, RDBMS, relationships and all. Okay, then. So what we're going to discuss today is, okay, let me share my screen first. Is it visible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine then. Okay. So you're seeing this text, right?
Yes.
Okay. We have completed data and database. So introduction to SQL. So SQL stands for structured query language. Okay. So we use SQL to define the database. That means we can create the database and the tables, and we can insert the data in it, and we can fetch the data, and we can manage the data. Okay. So we know what SQL will do. So we have to implement it. So we are going to learn how to create the database, how to create the table, and how to insert the data, and how to fetch, and how to manage. So we all learn this. Okay. So who invented SQL? Anybody know that?
Yes, ma'am. Laurie Ellison. Laurie Ellison.
Who invented that?
Laurie Ellison in 1972.
Okay. So who invented relational database?
It was actually invented by Oracle System Corporation.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So the relational database was invented by E.F. Codd. That means Edgar Frank Codd. So you remember this. Okay. So he invented that in 1970s. Okay. So he invented that relational database concept. I already told you that in the database, there will be a tables. So tables have the relationship to one another. So one table will connect to another table, and one table will connect to multiple tables. So this concept was invented by E.F. Codd, Edgar Frank Codd. So you people remember this, okay?
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. And who designed SQL? Anybody know that?
No, ma'am.
You are seeing my text, right? So you can say from here.
Raymond White.
IBM, mom. It's IBM, I guess.
Yes, IBM only. But that's actually company's name. That's not a people, right?
Okay, okay. Sorry.
Okay. So
Donald
we are-
Chamberlain and Raymond Boyce.
Yes, that's good. Donald Chamberlain and Raymond Boyce. So they designed SQL to manipulate data, and relational database was designed by who invented that? Edgar Frank Codd. That means EF Codd. Okay. So SQL. So it's actually the previous name is SQL. Okay. But due to a trademark problem, that means I think it's already some other name will be there as SQL and all. So they converted it to SQL. Okay. So you should pronounce it as SQL, not SQL and all. So what can SQL do? I already told you that by using SQL, we can do everything like table creation, database creation, and inserting, updating, all these manipulations and all. Okay. So, and what about the installation of MySQL? Is everybody done or anyone still pending?
Done, ma'am.
Done, ma'am.
Okay, then that's good. So we are going to discuss about SQL categories today. Okay, there are 5 categories in it: DDL, DQL, DML, DCL, TCL. Okay, and we are going to learn basic syntax and query writing. Okay, and what are the data types in it? So we are going to learn these topics. So as I already told you, we have commands like select command, update, insert, delete and all. So these commands will fall into these categories. Okay. So let me open this paint and all. File new. Okay. So SQL commands. So, how many categories I told you?
5.
Remember that 5 categories, right? Okay. So I will create 5 boxes here. Who is that? Sneha Kole. I'm seeing your video. Good evening. Okay. So the first thing, the first category is what? Can anybody?
DDL.
DDL, DML.
Yes, DDL. And DDL contains. Anybody know that?
Data definition language.
Yes, DDL is nothing but data definition language. Okay. So data definition language. Okay, fine then. So in this data definition language, these commands will be present, like create command, drop command, and alter, and truncate. Okay. Rename. So the next is
DQL.
DQL. Okay, fine. DQL, that means data query language. Okay. Data query language. Okay. So next what? DML.
DML.
Data manipulation language. Okay. So, okay, first let me complete this DQL. In the DQL, which command is present? Select command. Okay. So we are just giving the select command. That means it will fetch the data. Okay. So in the DDL, we are creating the database and creating the table and dropping that. I mean, we are deleting that table and database, and we can alter that. That means we can you do some modifications in that. Okay. And truncate and rename. So I will tell you all these things today, and data query language also. That means select. Okay. So first, everyone come to the MySQL workbench. Are you all came? Or you are using phone?
Using phone, ma'am.
Okay, so okay, then I'll tell you. So if you click here, this one. So this is the called the database symbol. Okay. So if you click
Yes,
this
ma'am.
one, you can create a new database like sample. Okay. So if you click apply this, so it will showing that query. So we can create schema sample, apply it. Okay, finish. So here you can see that sample is here. We created a database. Okay. So we just created a database, but we don't have any tables here. See? So this is one kind of creating table. I mean, database. So another way of creating database is create. That means in the data definition language, create command is there, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So create database sample2. Control enter. So create database sample2. We have created another database. That means sample2. Just refresh it. Then you can see here sample2. Okay. So we can create a database using MySQL Workbench tool or by using SQL query. So now we know how to create the database. So just, and the next we have created two databases. One is sample and another one is sample2. So let me tell you how to drop this. Drop database sample2. Okay. So here you can see that I'm giving semicolon. You know why?
It is terminated.
Yes, this is nothing but ending of this statement. Okay. So this statement is ended here. So that's why I'm giving semicolon. Even if you're not giving, that's not a problem. Okay. But you have to give it just for understanding and all. So we are dropping the database which we created before, that is sample2. Control enter. So you can see that sample2 is deleted, right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So you understood now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So we will create one more database. Just tell me the syntax.
Create database name
Yes.
ends with semicolon.
Create database. Sorry. Create database. Sample2. control enter, then it will execute. Okay. So sample 2 is here. We created one more database, right? So okay. So if you see here, there are different databases: Advanced Java, Employee, Sakila, Sample, Sample 2 and all. Okay. If you want to use a particular database, like if you want to use sample, okay, so you can double click here, like sample. On sample, you can double click it. So it will, okay. So it's using sample database at present. Or else you can also write a query for this. Use employee. That means it will use the employee database at present. Okay. Use employee. Employee what? Okay. So now you can see this. The employee database is activated, right?
Yes, ma'am.
It's in bold.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So now you tell me that I wanted to use the sample database. What should I do?
Drop this sample 2 and use sample.
What you said? I didn't hear you.
First, we have to drop this current sample to database.
No,
Then we have to choose sample data.
no, we should not do that.
Of table.
Use
table name.
database name.
Yes, you should. If you want to use
database
another,
name semicolon.
yeah, if you want to use another database, you should not drop the previous database. Okay. You have to, I mean, you want that data, right? How can you drop that previous database? You can directly write it here. Use sample. That's it. So now control comes here. Sample is highlighted. So it's using sample database. Okay. When you use drop, that means if you don't want any of these databases, like here you can see Advanced Java, Employee and all. So these are all databases, right? If you don't want any of these databases, then you can use drop database. So tell me the syntax: drop
Database name.
database.
Drop database name.
Yes, you are right. Drop database sample 2. Okay.
The spelling is incorrect.
Oh yes. Thanks. So sample 2 is deleted. Now you see here. Okay, fine. You understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So if you want to execute like anything here, so you can select all these. Okay. And if you do this, like if you click this, then it will be executed. Okay. So what next? So in this data definition language, you have defined database. Okay. You have defined drop. I mean, you created a database and you deleted a database. Okay. But we didn't create any table here. Okay. So now we are going to create a table. So one way of creating a table is, so I want to use this employee database. So what should I do now? How to use that employee database? Tell me.
First, write use an employee.
Yes, you are right. Use employee. That means it will use the employee database. So in that employee database, we are going to create a table now. Okay. So how to create a table in it? So to create a database, you can use this And to create a table, you can use this one. So new table in the employee. So student, okay. So we have to give column names here. So in the student entity, there are different attributes. What are the attributes will be for the student?
Name, roll
ID,
number,
name, yes, roll number, and his
Phone
details like department and all, right?
yes, ma'am.
So first ID. ID. And the next name. Okay. And next,
course,
okay, course. Okay, it's just a sample. Okay. Apply. So here you can see the syntax like create table, employee is the database name, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
And student is a table name. Okay. So in the employee database, we are creating a table that is called student. So in the student, there are different attributes. One is ID and one is name and one is course. So if first, before creating the table, we need to know the syntax of how to create a table and how to use that databases. I mean, how to use the data types and all. So we are going to learn this now. So first let me apply this, finish. Okay, I'm closing this. So we have created a table. In which database?
Employee database.
In the employee table, we created student table. Okay. So we are selecting now. I mean DQL, data query language. It contains the select command. Okay. So we are going to fetch that table. So it's already using employee table. Now we are going to write the query that is select star from what?
Employee.
No, employee is
Student.
the database name.
a student,
We are fetching the table. Okay, so student is the table. Okay, control enter. So we have got here ID, name, course, column names. Okay, but we didn't insert any data. We just created a table that is empty. Okay, null means empty, nothing is there. So we created a table using the workbench tool. Is it audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay,
yes,
that's
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
so, okay then. Okay then.
Sachin Saji is unmute, so.
Okay. So we have created a student table using MySQL workbench tool, this one. So we need to create a table using SQL query. So, but before doing that, we need to know the syntax. That is create table, okay, table name. And column names. What are the columns we need? Column name, data type, and column name, data type. So like this, it will go on and close it. So this is the syntax of creating table. And here we should give the table name. That means we need to give the table name and the columns. Hello?
That don't we need to give database name,
No,
only table name is enough.
only table name is enough. Or else if you, I mean, if you're already selected employee table, okay. So here different databases are there. You can see, right? Advanced Java, employee, Sequila sample. These are all databases names, okay?
Yeah.
So if you want to use a particular database, then you can make it here use employee, okay? So whenever you are executing this use employee, so it will use that employee database, okay? Or else if you didn't give this use employee and all, you can directly give here database name dot, okay? So whenever we are creating a table, you can give here create table, employees the database name dot, and you can give here table name, okay? You understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we are already using that employee database. So that's why I'm not giving any name here. I mean, database name. But if we are not selecting any database name, but we are inserting a data, we are creating a table, then we can use which database. In which database we need to create a table, we have to give it here. So this is a syntax. So we need to know the data types and all now. So as you already seen data types and all in Java and in C, different languages, right? So
Yes.
like this. Hello? Am I audible to everyone?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
ma'am.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, then good. So as the programming languages, SQL also have data types. So we are using these data types to create a table and for the variables and all. Okay, let's see what are the data types and all. So you can see the list of data types here. So I will explain you, need not to worry and all. So these numeric is there, right? Numeric is nothing but numbers. If you want to store that numbers in a table, okay, you can use this type of data types like tiny int. If the number is very small, that means 128 to 127. So if your number falls below 127 and all, like if your number is just 15, 16 and 24 like that, you can use tiny int. You can declare it as tiny int, okay? You understood?
Unsigned
Yes, ma'am.
ranges.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So you need to know this. What is signed and what is unsigned? What is signed and what is unsigned? Anybody know that?
No.
Nobody know that?
Yes, ma'am.
I guess signed means it's officially declared. Unsigned means it's custom. I guess.
I think sign value is always a negative value. If there is no sign, then it will be positive.
Okay, fine. Then I will tell you now. Here you can see the signed range. That means and minus 128 to 127 is signed range and the unsigned range is 0 to 255. So what you observe here, signed range, that means signed it will accept both negative and positive values.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and
Yes.
unsigned means it will accept only positive values. It will not accept negative values. Even if you declare, even if you wait. Okay, even if you are trying to insert the negative value, it will not accept. It will give an error. Okay. So that is the difference between signed and unsigned. So for the signed range, it will be 128 to 127. But the unsigned range 0 to 255. Okay. Because 0 to minus 128 will be doubled up to the unsigned. So it will be 0 to 255. So,
Ma'am, hello, ma'am.
yes, tell me.
Yeah, ma'am. How to know the numeric value is signed or unsigned? Because if I write 0, then how can I define then it is signed range? It is in signed range or it is in unsigned range?
No, it's actually your wish. If your values, if you are going to insert negative values in your database, okay, then you have to declare it as signed. If you don't want negative values, means you can declare it as unsigned. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Declared before what?
Yeah, you have to declare it. If you want to use negative
So
values,
I
then
have to write signed 0 or
yeah. Okay, then I will show you this. Okay.
okay, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you,
Ah.
ma'am.
Okay. So drag this down. Come here. So create table. Create table numbers. Okay. This is for the sample. So ID. Okay. So we have given create table and the table name called as numbers. Okay. So down we have created one variable, that means one column name, that is ID. So the next what we have to give?
The type.
Data type.
Data
Data
type.
type.
Values.
Yes, you're right. So now we are talking about signed and unsigned, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So let me give here first signed. Signed tiny int. Okay.
So, ma'am, basically we defined the name before the data type, right?
Yes, we have to define it.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you, ma'am.
You understood?
Yes. Yes, ma'am. Yes. That was my confusion actually. That was my question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So why it's showing error here? Let me check. You have an error in your SQL syntax. So that means if you have any errors in your syntax, then it will show it here like this. So ID signed int.
Hello, ma'am.
Hello?
Is my
Huh?
SQL is completely
I didn't get it actually. What are you going to tell?
asking you that my SQL is case sensitive or case insensitive. Writing here queries, no?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
query way.
This is
Do we
not,
need to follow case sensitive or it's case insensitive?
it's case insensitive. You can write it in capital. Okay, you can write it in small. That's not a problem.
Yeah, okay, that's what my question.
So anybody know that why it's showing error here? Can anyone try it? No one? That's so simple. So is it error now?
Oh,
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay, now you execute this one. So it is executed. 0 rows affected. Okay. So what is unsigned?
It
the
will
range
only
is from
contain
0
positive
to
value.
255.
Yes. It will take only positive values. Okay. So let me insert one which is negative value. Okay. Insert into numbers values stew. Control enter. So number 2 is inserted in that table. Okay. Let me
Yes,
check.
ma'am.
How to get how to fetch the table?
Select star
Select.
table name.
Select star from
From
Table
numbers.
name.
numbers.
Numbers.
Okay. You have to give table name here. Control enter. So 2 is inserted. So now we are going to insert -2 here. Okay. So I will execute this. Here you can see out of range value for column ID at row 1. So out of range. That means why we got that? The range is from 0 to 255 only. Okay. That -2 is not a positive value, and also it is not in the range of 0 to 255.
Ma'am, if we now fetch the value, then what will be show there?
What?
If we now fetch the value is -2, which is signed number, so if we fetch the data, then what will be show in the database?
Yeah, if it is a signed range, okay.
Okay.
We have created a table as unsigned. If we
Yes.
create it as signed range, then -2 is within the range in 128 to 127, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it is in the range like -128 to 127. -2 is falling between that. So it will accept it. So you know the difference between now signed and unsigned. It is important because they will
Yes,
ask
ma'am.
you in an interview what is the difference between signed and unsigned. So you should tell them that signed accepts both negative and positive values, but unsigned accepts only positive values. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. So we created the database using unsigned range. So if we now fetch the data from the numbers table, then what will be show in the database?
Yes.
Because the unsigned number is from 0 to 255, but we put value there -2. Then what will be show in the database?
You're asking a question?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
I didn't get you.
Yeah.
Can you repeat it again once?
Yeah. We created the data.
Okay.
The
Database.
yeah,
And we are
database
going to create a table.
table with ID, but
Okay.
in that employee we created a table named numbers, but where there we can use the unsigned range, but
Okay.
when we insert the value we can put that signed range. So
Okay.
now if we can fetch the data from the table, so
Okay.
what will be the output in the database?
Okay. So I understood. So here we have created it as unsigned. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
But here we are inserting negative value, that is signed value, because
Yes.
sign will accept both negative and positive. So is it inserted in the database?
No, ma'am.
No.
No.
Will not work.
It didn't inserted. It's directly telling that out of range value for column ID at row 1. You see here, it's an error.
Yes, ma'am. But the result grid, the ID is 2. How?
ID is 2 because previously we have inserted positive value na.
Okay.
So here if I insert it as another value like 3. Okay.
Yeah.
So 3 is inserted in the table. So
Yes.
now we are selecting this table and you getting 2, 3. 2 values are inserted because
Yeah,
it is
ma'am.
positive.
But if we put the value -3, then
It won't accept
okay, yeah,
because it is unsigned. If
okay,
you
ma'am.
didn't give any like unsigned or signed and all, it will directly accept both negative and positive values. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, that I know.
Yeah. If you are giving it as, I mean, if you directly creating with unsigned means, then it will not accept negative values. So you understood that?
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.
Yes. Okay. So you are creating a table. You are creating a student table. The students are minimum will be 500 to maximum. So 500 to 1000 if we assume it. Okay. So we cannot create it with tiny int because students are more than 500. Okay. But here the range is very less, 128 to 127, 02 to 255. So which data type we can use now?
Small int.
Small int.
Yes, we can use small int because this range is more. 0 to 65535 is the unsigned and signed range. Both negative positive values will accept. So we can choose it based on our requirement. Okay. So like this, if your range is more, so if you have lakhs of data, so which data type you use based on your data and all. Okay. If you have lakhs and crores of
Okay,
data,
ma'am.
mostly when we are creating a data type, when we are creating a table, people will use int, directly int. See here, I created it as int. Even if you not consuming that much data, you just created it as int. So based on your size and all, you can use tiny int, small int, medium int or integer, like that. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So these are all comes under int. Like up to these numbers, you can create it by choosing the data type. So what about the point numbers? Like 15.355 and all. What we call these kind of numbers? Floating
Short number.
numbers.
Floating
Right?
numbers.
Float and double.
Floating numbers, decimal numbers, like that. So for those kind of numbers, we have float, double, decimal. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So yes, tell me.
Will it create any impact when we choose large data type for using a smaller value? I mean, we are using, I want to use only number 5 or 10 like that. But I chose int data type. Will it create any impact?
Yes, of course, it will create an impact.
The sense of
Like, how can I say that?
memory occupation or
Yeah. You already know that tiny int use 1 byte and int use 4 bytes. So int is 4 bytes. That means it uses more memory, right?
yeah, okay, ma'am.
So tiny int 1 byte. This is small. So if we have data, very less data, we don't use that much large numbers, then you can use tiny int. But int, we create it as int. But we don't know if we created some data. Maybe some other day we can create some more data in it. Okay. So we are assuming it as some more data will be created. So that's why we are initially creating it as int. So
Yeah, okay, ma'am.
you understood?
Clearly.
Based on
Thank
your
you.
requirement, you can create it. So next, float, double, decimal. So for this kind of numbers like floating point numbers, 136.5 53, like that. So here a floating point number, MySQL uses the p-value to determine whether to use float or double for the resulting type. If p is from 0 to 24, the data type becomes float. If p is from 25 to 53, the data type becomes double. What it is saying? That means if 123 point something is there, okay, the point will be there at any place, that's not a problem. Okay, if this size is more than float, that means 24 digits, then we can make it as double. You understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, that means for small, this is just 24 if you assume. And if this point has a large numbers, so a float can't accept this large number. So we can create it as double because it's a big number now. So for small type of floating numbers, we can create it as ID float. If it is a big number, we can create it as ID double. Okay. These are all approximate values. Okay. And here we can call it as size and D. What is that size and D? That means, I will tell you. So ID, okay, and double. And here 10 and 2. You know what is this? That means here 10 and 2. So the value should be like only 10 numbers. The total digit should be only 10 numbers. Okay. And the last two will be point numbers, decimal numbers. Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, something. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 0.32. So it will store like this. So the first, if the data is containing only 10 digits, then last data, that means last 2.2 decimals will be stored like this. Okay. So if your data is just having something like this, but still it store 0, 0 like this. Even if that data doesn't contain after the point, some data is not there, so it will assume it like this 0, 0 because you have created it as 2. That means there is something, decimal numbers will be there. Understood? You didn't clear? Shall I tell again?
No, sir, understood. Understood.
Okay, then decimal, an exact fixed point number. The total number of digits is specified in size. The number of digits after the decimal point is specified. The maximum number for size is 65. The maximum number for D is 30. The default value for size is 10. The default value for D is 0. So what he's saying is the maximum number for size is 65. So decimal, okay, will store up to 65 numbers. That means up to 65 size digits. Okay. So in previously we seen that float will store up to 24 digits, but double is more than that. Okay. And decimal is 65 digits. So if your number is something like this and it's a big number, like this. So what you do, you will create it as, because it's a big number, so you can make it as decimal. And here you can give, if you give the 45, so if you give here 45, that means the number should contain the size only up to 45. Okay, 45 digits only will be there, it should not exceed. Okay, you understood? I will say clearly that
Yes, ma'am.
if your
Yes, ma'am.
number should be, if it is only 5,
Yes, understood, ma'am.
it is 2.
Yes, understood.
Okay, so if it is 5 and it is 2, that means it will store up to 5 digits,
5.
like 99999. So these are all 5 digits, and 2, that means it will have a decimal, 2 decimal numbers, it should be there. That means it will store up to 5 digits and 2 decimal numbers. So you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, like this. If the decimal, these are all fixed. Okay. If it is 10, if it is 3, then it will store 10 numbers. Like it will be anything, any number. And the last 3 digits should be decimal. Okay, you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So its size is 10 numbers, but the last digit should be decimal. So we are creating it like this. So if you have any decimal numbers, that means floating numbers, you can make it as a decimal, double, like that. So you know, numeric. If you have any numbers, which data type you should choose based on your size. And for the decimal, you should choose based on the size. If coming to the string, the next is string. So here char, where char, or char, where char, tiny text, text, long text, where we need to use all these. So char is a fixed length. That means when to use char. When to use char for the fixed length. That means it's actually store a very less data. It store up to 0 to 255 digits. Okay, 255. That means if you know the fixed length, like yes, no. So you know this, right? These are all fixed. Yes, no. Either yes or no. So char 3 will be given. Okay, or else male, female. Okay, so these are all fixed. So you can give char as how much?
6.
6. Yes, that's good. So when you know the fixed length, if you know that the length should be 6, if you know that length should be either 3 or 2, then you can use the char. Okay. And when to use varchar? When to use varchar? So this char and varchar, all these useful for strings like names. So you can use this varchar for, it can contain special characters, integers, and alphabets, everything. So varchar, we can use it for anything, like here you can take MySQL. So this is 5 characters, right? Or else if you take SQL training, this is also a string. MySQL is a string, SQL is a string, and some more student name. So it will accept underscore, special characters, numbers, everything. But it should not exceed the value which you declared. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So varchar 30. So these three names will not exceed 30, right? It will be below the 30 size. So for fixed names like yes, no, male, female, good, bad, these are all fixed lengths. So you should use char. You can use it for the varchar. So there are multiple names you can insert, like there are multiple students are there. So you want to insert that data in the database, like in the table. So you can use varchar. Okay. Like string names.
Okay, ma'am.
So can contain letters, numbers, and special characters. Here also contain letters, numbers, special characters. So tiny text, sorry, holds a string with a maximum length of 255 characters. So like a char, you can use tiny text also. If it is a strong, if it is a small string and text. So when you come up with a sentence, okay, paragraphs. So sentence, paragraph, these are all big, right? So it contains a long text. So you can use this as text, long text, when you want to insert that content like sentence and paragraph and all. So there you can create it as long text as a data type. Okay. So based on, so it will store up to 4. So it's showing some digits up to some characters. It's a long character it will store. So medium text, it's less than the long text. So it can store that this much characters. Okay. So depends upon the data you are inserting, you can create your data type. You can choose it. So binary large objects, BLOB means binary large objects. You can create this BLOB when you can create it as data type. Anybody know that? Okay, I will
No,
tell
ma'am.
you. Binary large objects, blob, you can use it for images. If you are storing the images, media, videos and all, that kind of information, you can make it as blob. Okay. Medium blob, long blob. So long text is for sentence, paragraphs and all. And the next, date and time. So date time, if you're storing a date, time and the year and all in the database, like in the table, then you can make it as date, time or year. Okay, you understood? If you're
Yes,
inserting
ma'am.
like year, then you can make it as year as a data type. If you are inserting like some data and all, like some time, date and time, then you can make it as date, time as a data type. So you understood, right?
Is that format fixed or can we manipulate it?
This
Can you please show the how to store the date and time?
date and time,
Yes.
it show. Okay, I will tell you all this in the next class, because you can create date, time as it is, that's not a problem, but while inserting the data it will automatically take the time. Okay,
Okay.
based on your system time. Now the time is 8:01, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So it will take the time when you are inserting the data and all. So it will take that one function, that is date, time. So when you are inserting some data in it, so it will insert that exact time when you are inserting data. So that is simple, that's not a problem. So you see in different data types right here.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So please remember all these data types. Like
Yes, ma'am.
uh,
Ma'am, you can share the text file in the group.
this one.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah. It will be
Okay.
very helpful.
Okay. I will share this. And okay. For a sample, shall we create a table?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So you all understood, right? Anybody have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Really? Okay, then that's good. Okay, then we'll create a table now. So if something is here means like just for your understanding, if you're writing here means you can just give a hyphen, 2 hyphens here and space. Okay, then it will become as comments. It will not disturb you. Okay. So what is the syntax for creating table? Anybody tried?
Create table,
Yes. Create table.
table name.
Okay, then wait. So I wanted to create a table in the database sample. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So here in this sample, I want to create a table in it. So how to create it? So first I need to activate that sample database, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. How to activate that sample database?
Use and database name.
Use
sample.
Database
sample.
name. Yes.
Okay. Control enter. So it's using the sample database now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Then the syntax for the creating table.
Create
Some
table,
Create table.
Okay.
table
table
name.
name,
Table name.
Table name. Okay.
semicolon.
Semicolon. No.
Column name.
Okay.
Open bracket, sorry.
Student. Open bracket.
Yeah,
Now
column.
ID. So now tell me the which data type we need to use.
Any int.
Okay, fine. If you are inserting the data below 255 numbers, then you can use tiny int. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Now name. Name should be
Bharkar.
varchar because you don't know the
Length of the
Length.
character.
names of the size.
30.
20 or
Multiple
30,
names.
whatever.
Okay, anything we can give it. ID name. Okay.
Roll number.
That's ID, bro.
Okay, roll number. Okay, and one more thing, you should not give it like this. Okay, it will be error. You should make it as in between underscore. Okay, roll number again int. Okay, we'll close this. So we know creating table. Okay, we'll add one more thing like batch. Okay, what we give to here, what we need to give here, year. So we are creating a table, create table, table name, column name, data type, column name, data type, column name, data type. Okay. So click it now. And how to fetch the table?
Select
Select
star
Select
from
from
from student.
student.
Student. Control enter. So we created a database. I mean, we created a table, but we didn't insert any data in it, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So now I'm going to insert some data
Insert into
into
student.
Student.
insert into student, that is table name. Insert into student. Now
Bracket.
values.
Insert into student values.
Values.
Okay. So 1 for the ID, and the name should be in
String.
quotes. Okay, because it is the string. So you should remember this. You should keep it as quote, open quote. Now next, anybody tell me your name.
Sanjay.
Okay. And next, roll number 101 and the batch 2020.
20.
Okay. Control enter. So it was executed. So now we'll fetch the data. 1 Sanjay 101 2020. Okay. So if you want to insert multiple data like this, we have inserted only one row now. We can call it as row or else record. Okay. So how many records are there in this table?
4.
Only one.
Why? One record, row
1 record.
or a record. Okay. How many columns are there in this table?
4.
Okay. How many attributes are there in this table?
4 attributes.
4 attributes, because 4 columns are there. Okay. How many fields are there in this table?
4.
4.
Total 4.
So column. Okay. Don't confuse it. You should remember all these things. Okay. Column, fields, attributes. These are all same. Okay. When someone ask you what are the fields are there, you can tell them that ID, name, roll number, batch. These are all fields. How many fields are there? 4. How many attributes are there? 4. And
4.
what are the attributes? ID, name, roll number, batch. Okay. So I think you understood, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we are inserting multiple data. We have inserted only one row. So now we are inserting some more records in it. Like insert into student
Values.
values.
Open,
Okay,
one
one
more.
is already there. So to Sunil. For the numbers, there is no need of quotes. Okay. For the string, you need quotes. 2020. And if you want to add some more data, then 3 Lekha and 103 2021. Okay, 2022 is fine. So in the previous, I have inserted only one row, right? Now I'm trying to insert 2 rows. Control enter. So now I'm fetching the data. Select a star from student. So how many records are there?
3.
3 records are there. So we can insert multiple data at a time, or we can insert only one. So you remember this syntax, okay?
Yes.
Don't forget. Tomorrow I will ask you, everyone should tell. Everyone should respond.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay. I'm just copying this into this because I'm sending you. Okay. Just revise it. So, Control C. Okay. DDL contains what are the commands? First, what is DDL? What is
Data
DDL?
definition language.
Data definition
Language.
language. Right. So it contains create. So we have used it, right? Create
Yes, ma'am.
and drop
Drop.
Alter.
and next
Alter.
alter and next
Truncate.
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 So you didn't use this alter and truncate.
It.
So tomorrow I will tell you how to use alter and truncate. So
One more
as
left,
of
ma'am. Rename.
rename, yes, one more thing. Rename and next comment is also there. I will tell you about it later. Okay, so first create is done, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we didn't use this drop. Yes, we have used it. We have dropped the database, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. And DQL. DQL means
Data query language.
data query language. Yes, you are right. Here only one command is present, and that is what?
Select.
Select. It is used to fetch the data. So we have created a student table and we have inserted some data in it. Now I don't want this table. So what should I do?
Drop the table.
And drop the
Delete,
table.
ma'am.
Drop table
Student.
Student.
Where?
student. So it was executed. So student table is no more. Dekho, we see the error here because sample.student doesn't exist because it is deleted. So you see this here just for the sample and all. Control C, Alt Tab. I will paste it here. Just revise it before tomorrow's class. Okay. So what we have discussed today? We have discussed about SQL categories like DDL, data definition language, DQL, data query language, and DML. What is DML contains?
Data manipulation language.
So
Insert, update,
yes,
delete.
insert, update, delete, and some more are there. You don't know this. You should go in depth. Okay. Call,
Okay, ma'am.
explain, call. Okay. And lock is also there just to lock the tables. So these are nothing but data manipulation. Okay.
Ma'am, I have a doubt here.
Yes, yes, you can ask me.
On what basis these comments are categorized into this classification?
Yes. So you can see it here. Data define. Define means what? We are creating.
Okay.
So for creating, deleting and all, we are using create, drop, alter, truncate, rename. And here we get querying, like we are fetching. That means select. Here we are doing the manipulations in the table. Like we are playing with the data. We are doing manipulations like insert. We are going to insert the data in the table. And next update. We are just updating the data in the table. And the delete. We are just deleting the data in the table. Okay. So the remaining, the lock is nothing but locking the table. So data manipulations, data query. That's you can write the query, it will fetch it. Select. And data definition language. That means create.
If
Like
it is
we are
meaning
defining.
that, then alter That's also a kind of manipulation. No? Then why it is categorized into DDL instead of categorized into DML?
Yes, we can insert, update, delete, alter is also same. You can also like alter is, you can do this alter in the table when you created a table. Okay, so let me give you an example here. Okay, so here is the table schema, right? This is the table schema. That means schema is nothing but it will tell us how we define the table. So we have created a student ID, name, like columns and their data types. So schema explains how we create a table. So alter is used for to alter the student table. Alter table student. Okay. Modify ID. Modify ID and modify column. Okay, something you can write it here like just to alter the table definition. Here this is the nothing but table schema, that is we are defining the table. So you cannot use alter in the table. That means you have one data like, okay, so here, okay, employee dot student, it is empty, or else we can see it here. Student is there. Okay, yes, here some data is there. Okay, you cannot alter here. You just, what you do here, you can create, I mean you can insert the data, or else you can update like the name Sachin to Suresh. Okay, that is called updation, or else you can delete the data. But where we use alter, means,
Yeah, okay, ma'am, got it. So
you
alter is
understand?
used to make changes on the properties of the table, not on
Yes.
the inside content of the table.
When you want to change the database, I mean table names or columns or something,
Yeah, right.
data types, there
Table
you can
properties.
use alter. Okay, so that is all comes under table defining, database defining. Okay,
Yeah, clear, ma'am.
so
Thank you.
when you are playing with the database, I mean directly, or else the table defining while creating, there you can use alter. But inside the table, that means the data which is there in the table, you have to use DML, not alter and all. Okay,
Got it, ma'am.
okay, so DDL, DQL, DML is done. Now next what? TCL. Okay, TCL is nothing but
Transaction control language.
transaction control language.
ये हमारा नहीं
Yes, tell me. Anybody have doubts? Hello.
No, no,
Okay.
you go on, ma'am.
Okay. Transaction control language, that is TCL. Here it contains some data. I mean, which commands are present in this transaction control language? Commit. Okay. Roll back. Set transaction. Save point. Or else set constraint. So this transactions control language is used when we use this transaction control language, when we use TCL, that means if you have inserted some data in the table, okay, and you don't want the data, then you can set it as rollback. So it will revert back. It will not insert into that table. Or else if you want to save that data until you have done, so you can make it as commit. Then it will save the data which you have done. Okay. So whatever the queries you have executed, whatever the data you have inserted in it, so if you make it as commit, then it will save. If you have make it as rollback, then it will revert it. Like whatever the changes you have applied, it will not save. And set transactions, it is little depth. And save point. So you have to make it as point. That means whenever you have declared save point, then it will not, it will up to save that point. So after save point, whatever you have writing, whatever you have executing the queries, it will also save it. But when you trying to roll back it, it will roll back up to that save point only. Okay. I'm just telling
Okay.
you, but you will
Yes, ma'am.
understand later. So DCL, that means data control language. Okay. Data control language. Data control language means who should have the access. If the administrator is there, means who needs to get the access. So he will give the access to them. If the user, that means grant, revoke. So in the data control languages, they will give the permissions. Who is administrator? So they will give the user, like he can create a table, he can edit it, he can update it, he can delete it. So he will give the grant permissions to him. Revoke means he will take it back. So like that data control language. So it's all about permissions. Okay. Grant, revoke. So you should remember these 5 categories: DDL, DQL, DML, TCL, DCL. Okay. So it's an important questions. Even in interview, they may ask you about what are the 5 categories and what are the commands will fall into that categories and all. Okay, you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today we have created just a table. Okay. But we didn't use any constraints here. Okay. So tomorrow we are going to talk about constraints. What are the constraints? Anybody know that?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay.
Constraints.
Primary key, not
Constraint.
null.
Yes.
Not null,
Constraints are nothing but
unique,
it's just
primary key equal.
conditions. Okay. We are giving some condition. It needs to follow, like primary key, foreign key, not null, unique, like this. Okay. So
Okay.
we are going to learn all those things tomorrow. Then we can create a perfect table. Okay. So whatever we are giving the conditions, it will insert like it, like that. So today I think you all understood everything what I said. You people have any doubts?
No,
Uh,
ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Really? Okay, fine.
Hello.
Good. Yes, yes.
Actually, yesterday we started the class now. Exactly.
Yesterday?
Yesterday we started the class now. But I think you may start what is the exactly you didn't not cover the what is the purpose of SQL, what our main role in the how it is rolled in a IT industry. So can you explain in basic level, like
SQL.
nothing
Okay.
but what I'm asking, I don't know what I'm asking you. Mainly, it's SQL is only for your yesterday giving the definitions. How the industrial you just
Yeah,
giving us
I will
just
give you
main.
on industrial purpose only. Okay. I will give you an
No,
example.
that's a
Just listen to me.
no.
Okay. Tell me.
Nothing but what I'm asking you, that is a basic like you just go through that what is mean by SQL. That's okay. The how is the SQL importance in the industry, and how it's maybe the SQL rolling in the industrial. That, so it's a initially know the student is a well, I think.
Yes,
Right,
yes.
or
Everybody should know how it works and all.
that's you can say the some different like you can give us some brief some examples. It's easy to understand the student, right? No.
Yeah, sure. I will explain you. Wait.
Okay, you can
Okay,
plan it.
so
And you can
no,
take
I will explain you.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so you people see websites, right?
Yes.
Okay, so if you want to go somewhere, okay,
Yes. Mhm.
like you're planning for a vacation, so you want to book a hotel, okay?
Yes, yes.
So if you want to book a hotel, first you see whether there is any availability in that, okay?
Okay.
So if you see any available rooms are there, so what do you
Mhm.
see? First you go to that website and check the rooms are available option.
Mhm.
So how to get that? So if there are 10 rooms are available means first it will go to the database. Okay.
Yes, exactly. Mhm.
So it will go to the database and it will fetch that number.
Mhm.
Like how much number? If it is 4, it will fetch it. If it is 5, it will fetch it. So how to
Okay.
fetch that? You need to write a query for that.
Yes, yes. Okay.
Okay. So in the application, you can see the website, like
Mhm.
you can see the
Mhm.
display. So when you click that
Yes.
button, it will
Mhm.
what it do?
It will go to the database. It's our
It
what
will go to that query. Okay. So
query.
there is a
Okay.
background. We have written some query like to fetch that column.
Mhm. Mhm.
So in the background, we have written that query like select the room count and all. Okay. So it will fetch that number and it will show you.
Okay.
So you understood now?
Understand, ma'am. It is only for the that is I feel like you are tell like a user interface. The who are using the application in that. It is related to the SQL going to the back to behind the process. No, you are.
Yeah, behind the process it will work. We can see that. Like
Yes.
if you go to that any business, if someone is running a business, so he wanted
Yes,
to see the sales, how many are happening, so how
okay.
many customers are there,
Mhm.
okay, how much shopping is
Mhm.
going on daily, so
Mhm.
what are the data, I mean what are the
Mhm.
stuff is there available in that business, like
Okay.
if he has clothing and all, so how many clothes are
Mhm.
left, how many stuff is there, how much sales are happen, how
Okay.
many employees are there, so how he going to
Okay.
fetch all those in a website?
No, no,
So because the data is all stored in the database, okay,
exactly.
so
Mhm.
in that database we have to fetch it. How to fetch it? How to do
Mhm.
manipulations and all? By using SQL.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so
But
you have understood.
just one second, ma'am. I just
Okay,
got the one.
okay.
But he users that the businessman can't do any like
Sorry to
he's
interrupt, ma'am. Is the class over?
What?
Class is over now.
Class is over.
Just asking. Class is over.
Yeah, it's almost over. Just 2 more minutes. He's asking some doubt, na? That's why.
no, just I clarify my doubts only.
Yeah,
Not
you
for
can ask him. You can ask me.
okay, ma'am. Thank you. and that the user businessman is nothing but they need a data only for they don't need any query of they don't know the any
No.
query.
They don't do any queries and all. They just want the website for them. So
In the
who will do all those data stuff and the queries and all? Developers will do that.
Okay.
So we will create that website. We will insert all the data in it. We'll do all the manipulations. We just give it to the project, to the business person. So every
Okay.
day, what are the sales happening to them? They will give the data to us. So we will insert
Oh.
all those things and all. Again, we will give it to them. So like
Okay.
this service is happening.
Okay. Fine.
Okay.
Okay. I can understand, man.
Okay, then good. Everybody understood, or anyone have any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Okay,
Okay.
fine then.
Thank
See you tomorrow, guys.
Okay, ma'am.
Good night.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good night, ma'am.
Welcome.
Thank you. Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.